If it gets too dark, I'll be your light. That is our theme, and we are back for another edition of Mindset Monday. Hi, y'all. I'm your girl, Jeanette Smith, certified life strategist and mindset coach. Excited because the women are gathering today for Mindset Monday. We're going to do it a little bit differently, but different is good. So let's go to the chat room. I see Miss Pamela rolling in. Where's your twin? Where's your other Pamela? Where's your twin? Good to see you, Pamela. Miss Vonda's here. Good to see you too. Excited to have you all in the room. Let me take a sip because I was dancing y'all know my morning routine. Hey, Miss Nicole. Jennifer. West Coast in the house. Always so excited when I see you because I know that's a bit of a time difference, but you still make it happen. So thank you, Dr. Jen. I want to invite you all to go ahead now, if you have not done so already, and be a part of what we call the Share Squad. The Share Squad is those folks who know that good stuff is ahead. And so they go ahead and share it out. Hello, Nicole, back to you. What's up, Daryl? Our brothers are rolling in. Good to see you. Good to see you. And no, good stuff is ahead. So we get out there and we share. And thanks to all of you who are a part of the Share Squad. We want as many hearts and minds in the room as we can. This is an important conversation for where we are in this last quarter of the year. And many of you have talked about this in different degrees. I'm tired, right? And we're going to look at what kind of tired that might be. Ashley Nicole McCrary, good morning, warriors. I love it. You make me want to take my warrior stance. Yes. Good morning, Lisa. Good to see you. Thank you for bringing those beautiful transformation butterflies in the room with you. Love it. So today, we're talking about the I'm tired. It starts with the I'm tired. Soul exhaustion can happen to anyone at any time because life requires a lot out of us, especially in this year. We have never been through a pandemic on top of a second race debate, on top of an election year. You keep on top of parenting in a pandemic, on top of everything else. And so we can get tired and you can experience all types of symptoms and syndromes, but it's the hectic pace of life, of modern life, on top of physical fatigue, on top of, other ongoing feelings of exhaustion that you might have. And it may not just be your busy schedule. It may not just be all the, highly evolved things that are happening around you, the stimuli that's just all vying for your attention and your energy. There may be a mismatch between your emotional needs and your lifestyle. And what we want to look at today is sometimes it's not our bodies at all that are tired. It's our souls. And so the good news is because soul exhaustion is a state, that means you can change it. If it's a state of being, you can change it. And so I have some very fabulous women joining me for this discussion. And I can't even tell you how excited I am, not only that they're here, but because of the sacrifices each of them are making to be here. That's how I know we were supposed to do this, because each of them have something that really would have been pulling them in a different direction, but they felt the call and the need to be here for this. So I'd like to first welcome someone that you all are very, very familiar with. She is an itinerant elder in the AME Church. She's a columnist. She's the first lady of Bethel AME Church. She's my dear sister in love. We call her Reverend Riri. We'd like to welcome Cherie Smith Claiborne back into the program. Hello.
Hello. Good morning. Thank you for having me. Glad to be here.
Of course. Glad to have you always. And so the next two sisters I'm going to introduce to you I have to do so by first a thank you to our common sister, Creslin Kelly Ells, who introduced me to them on her podcast. And since that time, I've just felt a very strong connection that there would be a time and space when we would flow again together. And Pamela was the first one who came back. Pamela Gray Daniel. And so you all remember her from the program we did on oneness. So we want to welcome my sister Pamela back. Hello, darling.
Good morning. Good morning. So good to see you. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. She is, as you all know, by virtue of the topic we discussed here, a oneness practitioner. She's a dynamic voice in that area. And she has really helped me start doing some more growing and researching in that area as well. She has an awesome book out. Her book is Healing Our History and Co-Creating a Culture of Oneness, which brings unifying and healing approach to traditional diversity, equity, and inclusion discussions. And so she coaches individuals on this. She does organizational coaching as well. They all do. All my sisters are out there impacting the world. They coach one-to-one. They coach businesses. They coach people. Wherever their light is needed, these sisters go. So welcome back, Pamela. Good to have you.
Thank you.
Our next sister, again, Creslin introduced me to her. She is a beautiful spirit. I'm still learning her, but every time we encounter each other, I just feel like, I already know you, girl. Girl, I already know you. So I want you to get out your radical hospitality and welcome I Am a Price. She is a multidimensional woman. She's a shaman, a soul detox specialist, and a professed end time enthusiast. And so welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm good to have you back.
Thank you for having me, soul sister. Radical, I love it. And that's appropriate word. This is
the radical hospitality. Yes. And when I go back to the chat rooms, I just want you to know that sisters everywhere, they're like so glad we're discussing this. Yes, yes. And they're shouting you out, First Lady. And hello, Reverend Riri. Hello, Riri. Yes, hello to everyone. So my sisters, I just want you to share that story about me reaching out to you to discuss this, because you were kind of on a bit of a social media sabbatical. But when I reached out to you, you had some confirming things that went down that said, no, this is a discussion for this time.
Yes, thank you so much. And I want to let you know when you said our relationship warrants this, because I'm on a social media sabbatical, and I'm going on a bit of a media hibernation for my personal usage, and my personal involvement and my personal attention, because I feel called these last 90 days of the year to prepare myself. So the fact that you reached out to me during the Rosh Hashanah weekend and the Aries full moon and the spiritual new year, I had shared with you, I just had some powerful confirmations that these conversations are the ones that need to be had, and that I would only be speaking when Holy Spirit summons me. And that is happening. That's why I'm here. So thank you for having me. People are experiencing this, and it's going to continue. So thank you for shining a light on what the tribe needs to know.
Yes, yes. Thank you, sister. And just so you all know, I have two other sisters. Now, you may be parenting in a pandemic. I'm not sure. Are you parenting?
Yes. Well, I'm co-parenting, effective parenting apart. You know, my son has moved in with his father and stepmother and stepsister as we're co-parenting now. And so he's just moved in with them after 6 years of being with me alone this summer. We're in a massive transition. But see, that's a part of my personal soul journey that I want to recommend that everybody begin looking for reasons as to why right now we're being called inward, because these are generational karmas that we're clearing. And we're going to talk about karma today. So a part of my generational karma is that. And so I just spent the weekend with my son and family when I shared with you that this was the perfect time. And so, yes, we're all experiencing this. And I can't imagine what people are going through who don't even know what's happening.
And my other two sisters, they are parenting in a pandemic as well. So you might see one or both, who knows, at any point in time what could happen. They may just poof, be gone, and we will just know that they are taking care of the necessary thing in that moment. And if they make it back, we'll be excited and we'll roll back in. And if they don't, we'll just send them with blessings that whatever is needed taken care of is handled under grace in a perfect way, and we'll be good. Yes, I'm just glad to have you all with. Look, and we've got support, my pastor, my brothers, and you're hitting on your wife on my show. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. That must be nice. I told you that blonde is doing something for you, girl. That blonde is doing something. So we're talking about this soul exhaustion, this soul exhaustion. And so getting into this, the body being our outer level, followed by our soul and our spirit at the core. Our soul is basically our mind, our emotions, and our will, right? That's who we are as human beings. I want to throw this out to you all because here's something that I started recognizing early on was kind of it just, the things that make you go, Though the soul is our mind, our emotions, our will, I often entangle it with my spirit, right? Because, and I think maybe for me, it's because being an empath and, 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 and having discernment and some other spiritual gifts, they rely on the things of myself, like my feelings and my emotions and things. They work together. And so I often get them entangled. But I know that my soul can't take me places my spirit can, right? And so just clearing that up for everybody. Let's start with you and then everybody else who wants to chime in, helping people understand when we're talking about soul versus spirit, what that really means, so that when we talk about soul exhaustion, we have a really firm understanding about where we're going with that.
Thank you. I think a good place to start when we talk about soul versus spirit is when we talk about natural versus supernatural. And right now, we're so used to only living in the natural world, which is what we call the third dimension. These are things we can see, things we can touch and taste and observe with our physical body. That's why it's the physical dimension. However, because we are more than a physical being, as Jeanette so wonderfully said, we have emotions and we are made of energy. Everything is made of energy. And so our energy is basically contingent upon the rate of which the spirit of the living God, the spirit that created all things, great God Almighty, I call that spirit God. The rate of that spirit moving through you creates your energy and your energy field. There's things that speed the spirit of God moving in you up, and there are things that slow the spirit of God moving in you down. And that is called the area where we can feel that is called the fourth dimension. It's where we dream, it's where we feel, it's where we have those clairsentient experiences where we're dealing with a person and maybe our body responds because our emotions and our energy are picking up things we can't see, like thoughts and intentions and other non-physical beings. And so our soul, it lives in that realm. Okay, our spirit lives in the highest realm, which is the fifth dimension, the beginning of heaven, and that is the part within us that is totally, irrevocably, eternally connected to Great Spirit God that created us. And that part of us is the part that is constantly calling us and pushing us forward and home, especially now in this time and season. So to help people understand, you are a spiritual being that is having a human adventure, that your soul is making an impact as we're here. Yes?
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Y'all can't hear me because I'm muted. How about that? I was saying yes to everything you said, Ima. And did anybody else have anything they wanted to add out of that experience of what she shared? Pamela, Cherie? Okay. All right. So as we understand that then, the problem I have found with trying to understand what we are experiencing or what we're not experiencing is that the five senses psychology doesn't really give room for the soul, right? Because you're just talking about sight, sound, taste, smell, touch. But yeah, I see your lips going toward something. Ima, did you have something you wanted to say? Ima? Did y'all lose me?
I hear you.
I think
Pamela?
I think she might have been frozen or something.
Oh, okay. Ima, can you hear us now?
I don't know why I can hear Pamela.
You can't hear me now?
I can't hear Jeanette.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Ima, try this. Try going out and coming back in. Oh, somebody tell her.
Uh-huh.
Oh, I'm a
going
track.
out and come back in.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm a press the lead. Be right back.
Okay. That's hilarious. Yeah. So you all understand what I'm saying? So we
Yeah.
do a lot of research and study around those areas about what affects what I take in my eye gate, my ear gate, and those types of things. But we don't also, often talk about that from your perspective of oneness, Pamela. What do you bring to the discussion in terms of understanding our soul and in setting up, looking at our soul exhaustion level?
Yeah. So, I do have a little bit of a different take on how I view it, and it's always evolving, right? Like we don't all know anything. And so, when it comes to soul exhaustion, I think a lot of the times it's because I am living in the trying to live in the strength of my soul and not depending on the connection with the Spirit of God as the fortifying force to strengthen, uplift, encourage. The other thing that I learned too recently, which was I was feeling a little soul exhaustion, and I realized it was because I was looking outward, as in, what's the work I need to do? What's the work I need to do? And it was like, one day I just heard, you are the work. You are the work. So going inward, understanding that as I do this work happens effortlessly. And so I think that sometimes with oneness, understanding that my connection to that divine presence is essential to me not exhausting myself. So that's kind of where I'm seeing how soul exhaustion is really us just trying to do it all in our own power and not leaning on the presence to sustain and assist us.
It's good. Thank you for that share. Reverend Riri?
I agree with both of them because I feel like one is a further work of the first. And I think sometimes you can grow up in spaces where your soul is never considered.
Right.
There is no conversation about your soul. It's about what you accomplish. It's about who you can please, how much the world will clap for you. It's about all these outer things. And so we never take care of spirit or soul or try and find the connection of the two. And so when you talk about soul exhaustion, I'm wondering how many people have never even considered or heard that your soul, like it can be beyond just being tired, beyond I got enough sleep and I still feel tired. So what is that? And so we go to oftentimes medication, all these things, but we never figure out that we are the work. We're out there looking for work, and so we're part of what's making our soul exhausted.
Yes.
Because we're looking for the affirmations outside of us and the work outside of us instead of the oneness within and with God.
Yes.
I love that. I wanted to share something that when I started looking at this, I want to go through 10, and listen, this is not all inclusive because how one experiences soul exhaustion could be completely different from someone else. But these are 10 broadly macro level looks at how you might experience soul exhaustion. And let me just go ahead and say, and I don't know if she's experiencing soul exhaustion, but she's here for it. Let me just say that, like I said, it's not all inclusive and that they mirror other symptoms. I think that sometimes throws us off because they can so closely mirror symptoms of other things. And so let's just take a look and see. The first one says you're not interested in anything. That just speaks to your level of engagement. Those things, it can speak to a level of passion that may not be there. That gets to be hard to find. And so you don't seem to be interested in anything. Two, having sudden mood swings. That can be tough too. Let me move this banner here. There you go. Sudden mood swings. The third one, having negative thoughts. Thoughts that, now we all can have negative thoughts because we're human beings, but when you start finding yourself in more of a pattern of negative thoughts, what does that speak to? Chronic anxiety, which in these days and times, many people have said that they've been experiencing. Feeling exhausted, which feels like a manifestation of physical exhaustion, right? The urge to escape your current situation. Now, for some people, they can say that's like a Wednesday for me, but nonetheless, it made the list. You want to be alone. That alone time, that pulling back. Emma talked a little bit about that. A lot of us are wanting to kind of pull back and just have me time. Feeling so stressed. And lastly, the struggle with loneliness. And so again, I lift these as a few things that could indicate that you're experiencing soul exhaustion. Were there any of these that you wanted to lift, ladies, and speak to specifically? I'd like to take that opportunity to do that now.
One of the things I was thinking as you were going through this list is really like, we're looking at them kind of in a negative context, but they can also be like very positive markers for us. Like, you are feeling lonely. So it's that sign that, hey, it's time for me to spend some time with me, like learn to get to know me. So as you were going through the list, I've learned to see those things as like, oh, here we go. This is a card from God saying, hey, it's time for you to focus on yourself. So it's time for you to take care of your body in a more profound way. It's time for you to, release some of those relationships that may be draining you. And so these are really just signs. They're little postcards, I feel like, from God to tell us, hey, it's time for a check. Like, it's like the engine light going off on your car.
Absolutely. No,
And
absolutely.
I think God placed within us that to be able to alert us that, hey, something's you about to go off the rails. Too much of all of this will take you down. And so can you see the sign in such a way that it prompts us to do something different?
Mm-hmm.
I think, no. I was just going to say quickly, I think my hope is that people will not discard the signs because we make them our new norm.
Yeah.
I'm used to feeling stress, so this is normal. That's nothing out of the ordinary because I've been feeling that for so long.
Almost use it as a badge of honor.
Yes.
How stressed are you? I'm doing so much. I'm just stressed.
Yes, the martyrdom syndrome, right? So, Ima, you were saying.
I think Pamela's going to resonate with this because we've shared so many moments this year. And I know for the fact that I'm in my hibernation, yet having this conversation, we're about to activate something here. I want to let everybody on this thread know that if you didn't check off anything on that list, then it's definitely a sign to you that your heart, soul, mind, and spirit are asleep in something that is called the Great Awakening happening on the planet. The reason that we're not going to be able to get around experiencing any of these symptoms and more, when Jeanette first sent me that list, I laughed and I always wanted to send an email to Pam, but I wanted to wait to let Holy Spirit have Holy Spirit's way. But I thought this is nothing more than ascension symptoms. What does everybody think we're going to get out of? Because you understand at the end of the day, I'm an end time enthusiast, and I don't mean end time as though the world is ending. Understand that we have ended a time that will never come back. Yeah. And I know that Sister Sherry can resonate with this, and that if you're in any part of the body of Christ, or you walk with the Spirit of God, the living God, the creator of all the universe within you, you understand that this is a time unlike any time. It's a time that many of us who are prophetic are having dreams about every night. So our bodies are responding to many things, not just the spiritual prophetic landscape, but the fact that I can't ignore that I'm a spirit being having a human adventure, and that right now in the earth, everything is shifting. And so if I'm stressed, if I'm having chronic anxiety, if these are things are coming up, it's because I'm experiencing shifts in my life that God needs me to pay attention to right now. So that if you are a Christian and you do read the Bible and you do believe in Goshen and you do believe there is an experience we can be having with all this going on, where we can actually be above what's happening around us in a very powerful way, then this is your time. Get excited, but also these are signs. They're signs of the time, an apocalyptic time that we're in. And as a human being, which is a temporary state, we're getting these markers to prepare ourselves so that we can be what? Ready to finish out our own soul journey, which is the reason why we're here. Ashe?
Yeah. I hear the chat rooms warming up over here. They're saying yes to everything you all saying. Our sister Regina Clay says, I also think about not wanting to get out of bed. Sometimes we just need to rest.
Our bodies need to rest, and our minds need to rest, and our souls need to reset. We're being bombarded right now. And I think it's great that we watch the news, and I think it's great that we're aware of what's going on, but too much absorbing at what's around us instead of being able to just observe from a spiritual state of mind can cause our bodies more physical pain and anxiety from all of that stress. So, Ashe, Sister Regina, it is time to rest and reset.
I think what you just said would resonate with a lot of us. Observing versus absorbing. We have to learn how not to take everything in and let it remain.
And let me say, for those of you who are close to me know, because I've shared before that I did news for over 30 years, and that absorbing versus observing, I had to learn to not absorb it. But there's also, I say that there's always a trade-off for everything, right? Even when you do good things for yourself. So I didn't absorb it, but that did something to me. I had to wear something to not absorb it, right? And still be of it and talking about it, engage. So when I came out of it, now I got to be something else, because I can't be this chick that just didn't feel anything about anything, right? And so I think it's important for us all to, like, where's the balance? I allow myself times to feel, if that makes sense.
Absolutely.
I will take my phone. I get my news from my app. My friends laugh at me because, I'm the news chick who used to know who covered it best on all 10 channels. Now I'll be like, oh, really? That happened today? And they're like, I'm like, and I used to feel bad about it, but I don't, because I know what I need. And so I check in to make sure I know what things are happening here. And then if I need to feel, because that connectivity of oneness makes us, I want to feel the hurt of people who are hurting. I want to honor what they are suffering or been through. And I want this, to send energy to that. And that I don't want to wear it in my life.
Absolutely.
So I give myself an opportunity, and then I say, okay, we have to close that part of the book, and we have to go do something else. Right. Pamela says, I can cause depression. It can cause depression for real. Regina says, speak, my dear sister. I think that was for you, Iama. That's good. Nicole says, I'm learning it's time to focus on my care and stop focusing on everyone else. I know that's tough for caregivers. I know that's extremely tough for caregivers, because you kind of can't be around them, right, and not be of them. You to be a good and effective caregiver, you have to be in touch with their needs, because sometimes they can't communicate those things verbally or other kind of ways. So bless you, sister. Bless you. Neil says, yes. Narita says, I needed that. Observing versus absorbing. Yes, everybody's feeling that. Ashley says that resonates as well.
I can feel some people asking how we do that. I feel some people are asking, well, I don't know how to watch the news or to be at work where they're talking about news all day, and I'm a sensitive soul, it's going in my ear, how can I not? A beautiful thing to start doing now is we must kind of strengthen our energetic armor, our emotional armor, and our spiritual armor, so that, like all the greats who came, I follow Yeshua, and he's my ascended master. So one thing that Christ had was the ability to see the pain of another without being the pain of another. Because how can you be the pain of the pain you came to heal?
Yeah.
He was aware of it because of his high spiritual state, but he was able to see it from a state of wholeness because he stayed in wholeness. We have to look at pain and stay in wholeness. We got to look at anger and stay in peace. We got to look at fear and stay in love. We can't become it. And that's only if we're focusing on keeping ourselves strong enough. And like the sister said, rested enough and prayed well, prayed up enough and cleared in our energy enough and cried out enough on our own bed about our own problems so that we won't be triggered by something in the world that maybe is kind of mirroring something in our own life that we don't want to think about, but because we want to address our own pain, we're having to now feel projected pain. But if we focus on making sure that, like the sister said, we got to get clear on where our focus and attention lies, because where our focus is, that's where our power is, and where our manifestations go is where our attention is most. So if our attention is on those things from a different perspective, then when people come in our midst and they can talk about the realities, we're aware of them, but we can say, yes, that's true. And I'm just so grateful that we're a part of the solution and not the problem. And the fact that we're sitting here talking about it lets me know that we're not out there joining them. And there's so many things we can do to hold space for those. Keep that energy around you pure and flowing. Keep the Spirit of God within you fast, regardless of how slow or low vibrational things get, because that's what the world needs. And that's what we need to stay free.
Yes. I love what you said about being around in the midst of anger and having peace and love and being able to project that. I think that's a powerful point for where we are right now, because there's a lot of hate reverberating out there, and a lot of dissension and a lot of anxiousness, and some intentionally stirred. And so we have to be just as intentional about protecting our peace. And about not, and I don't want people to feel bad. And I know you ladies don't either. You do the part you can do. If you can deflect it and protect yourself and return light, do that. If you don't have that right now, guess what? It's okay. Just keep it at bay. Just keep your bubble together. And that's where other light bearers step up. That's where other spiritual practitioners step up. That's where other, men and women of God and of all faiths who understand the importance of love and oneness step up and help flood. Because I used to feel bad that I can't, now I need to tend to me, but I feel bad because I feel like I need to be sending more light. I need to be jumping in this, making that better. And that can happen just scrolling down your feed. You can feel like, no, some light needs to go in here. And that might not be your assignment today. Your conversation that's happening around the water cooler, that may not be your assignment today. And it doesn't mean that now you ascribe to what they're saying or what they're doing. It just might not be your assignment today. And that is okay. So release yourself from that. Because I know I have felt that. I know other people have felt that when you want to hold up the bloodstained banner for things, you want to make sure that, we are here championing the causes of good. But listen, that's why there was a superhero team. That's why they had the League of Superheroes, right? Because it wasn't just on one of them to go out and save the world. Nicole says, sometimes I find myself feeling guilty because I want to take time to focus on myself. Girl, release that.
Yeah. And you know what? It reminds me of that idea that when you are on a plane and the oxygen masks come down, you have to put yours on first, because otherwise you're no good to anybody else. And so take the time for yourself in order to fill your cup so that you can fill the cup of others.
I think at some point.
Go ahead.
No. I thought you were finished. No, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, and don't depend on your own filling. Like, it has to be that constantly, open flow from the divine into you so that you are pouring out. It's not even like you're tipping your cup. It's like you're just so overflowing that it's pouring out into those around you. So.
Learn to know how that feels so that you can protect that. Some people have never been full enough because they've been taught to be full is to be full of yourself and to be selfish. And that's a lie. and untrue, because how can you be you unless you're all of you?
Mhm.
How can you be yourself if you aren't the fullness of yourself? And so I'm so grateful that we're releasing so many people from that guilt and shame and the deception that says I must sacrifice my wellness for the wholeness of others, but I can't give wholeness out of my own half-stepped, regimen of self-care, self-love, and self-work. It doesn't work that way. So praise the Lord, I felt a
Yeah,
release on that
right.
somewhere on the internet.
I
Oh,
want us
somebody
to
got
all
free.
be really, yes. And
Woo!
while we're here, I want us to go even deeper in that area. And I tread here lightly. I tread here having been an offender before. And so this is not me going, which y'all need to get together. This is me going, I've been here, I've walked it, and I had to correct. And I still, make sure I check myself. But women, we often, Reverend Riri mentioned the thing about wearing the badge of honor for how much busyness we are engaged in, as if busyness is a spiritual gift, right? Those of you who were with us for the 21-day release journey, I always said, listen, I don't know if y'all got this memo from God. Busyness is not a spiritual gift. It wasn't on the list. I didn't see it. But we wear it as so. And we are part of why that remains a danger and a threat to us. We, the collective women, because something in us says, I'm not my worth of a full woman if my hair's not a mess and falling out and my nails not down to the quick, and I didn't leave some blood over on this carpet and a part of a limb over here, that is the sign that I am giving my all, that I've given all I have. It's because I got to look like the road I walked, like I went up the rough side of the mountain and I look like the other side of the mountain, like we have to release not only ourselves, but each other. And I know that's so layered because there's self-judgment and outward judgment and all that layered into that. But can you all speak to that? I really, that would be something I would love to see us lay down collectively as we say goodbye to 2020 and move into 2021. We all took so many hits on many different levels. And that thing of, and you hear it when you talk to some women, like, ooh, child, I this and that. Now, there's one thing to vent and just to kind of to drop it off and go, girl. And so I get it. I understand, girl. Me too. But that thing of where you're looking for, this is my marker, you're looking for in return, right? Because we can give love and support and then all of that without you having to beat yourself down to get. I can just love you. You can call me and say, and I can say, girl, let me tell you how fabulous you are today. Let me tell you how, Riri, let me tell you how, Pamela, girl, let me tell you, without having to have left pints of blood everywhere, right? So how can we, in your own unique perspectives and vantage points, how can we help each other as women, in particular, lay down this martyrdom syndrome?
I think part of it is being willing to deal with root causes. So why do I feel like I have to, or why do people feel like they have to do it all? What's the root of that? Not just, so even when we're talking about soul exhaustion, not just I feel this way now, because we can deal with the feeling and we need to deal with our feelings, but what's the root, not just the symptom? And I feel like we keep dealing with symptoms, but the root is, it's still going deep. And we're trying to deal with the stuff that people see because we're more concerned about what people see and how they feel about us than actually the taking care of us.
Yes, 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 yes. You said something in there. I just wanted to hold up real quick. The root. The reason that I wanted to lift, there are a couple of areas I wanted to talk about. Trauma is going to be another one, but this one, because we can give you tips on how to you know, cleanse your soul, how to meditate, how to do a cleanse, and how to get back on track. But if the root stuff isn't there, taken care of, not to say you won't ever get to another place of soul exhaustion, but that is not tied to something so deeply that you never kind of get real results in that area, right? The root causes. So yeah, let's continue, because I wanted to say that that's a thing.
I wanted to just give a testimony, if I would. I don't know about other people's root cause, but my root cause was codependence. When I operated in busyness, whether it was busyness or self-sacrifice or looking for validation of others, which I struggled with for many years, and I thought that was the same thing as worth, it was because, again, I was depending on others because I didn't have boundaries or spiritual practice or protection, and I wanted other people to kind of fill the rest of my cup. And especially if I made a sacrifice for you that you didn't ask me to make, but I kind of do things for others to not think of myself or to make them feel good, because that's how I feel good, and then you don't appreciate it, then it defeats the whole point. But I'm doing these things I used to because I was very emotionally dependent on other people, on my environment, on my relationships. I depended on others for my emotional feelings of wellness and even my energy, than myself, my relationship with God, and my own energy. And so that a lot of times was my issue as to why I would do that. So then when we do that to others, we make them feel like they have to do it for us. So we pass the buck in families, especially in relationships amongst women. You know, we can make our friends codependent, make them feel like they have to be the emotional crutch for us in times when maybe we aren't handling our own shadow work. So those were the issues that led me to want to change my personal practices and strategies and healing and clearing, because I was in a constant hamster wheel of feeling like I was sacrificing for everyone and resenting them, when it was a lot of my emotional dependence on them and deflection in them and not myself.
Yes, yes to that, trying to control how other people show up. Yes,
Yeah.
yes. I think a bunch of toes got stepped on that one.
Oh, no, I love everyone.
I love everybody. You know.
Nope, yes, kiss the toes. But sometimes you got to step on the toes so we can get together. That was awesome. Yes, yes.
You know what? One thing that, because I love talking about the root, right? Because a lot of times we are just addressing symptoms. And for me, everything always comes back to division mindset. This separation mindset. It's not oneness, right? And so this division mindset, this idea that we are separate, that we're unworthy, that we are not good enough, that's our division from understanding who we really are. And so a lot of that, when we have that division mindset, when we are not focused on our practice of oneness with the divine and understanding who we are and what that means we can do and what we should do and all of those things, we try to make ourselves worthy through these actions. And that's why that badge is so important to us, right? It's so important to say, oh, but I did this. For me, one of the things, and especially when it's like, I did this for God.
Right.
Let me just say that, because this is a little bit of my testimony. I was a worship leader for 8 years. And I was running myself. I mean, like, it was like burning the candle at both ends. And one day I realized that I was doing so much, but I was not getting to do the work because I was just busy. And I had to, and it was tough. I think I called Ima like 3 times, like, I'm gonna quit, I'm gonna step down. But because it just became so much of who I was.
Yes, yes.
And what I needed to understand was that was something I did. It wasn't who I was. Am I a worshiper at heart? I am. But I do that with how I do the work in my life and how I show up and how I honor, the God presence within me and how, yes.
Yes, we feeling it. Hallelujah.
But that's such a hard thing, especially, and I know this is like a whole nother show, like on church work, right? And how it can just make your soul exhausted if you're not careful, And so I so resonate with that. And it's very difficult to help people get a new understanding of how we can work together for God's glory in our purpose, but not killing ourselves. It's difficult because it's been so ingrained that if you love God, you're going to do it. It's going to show up this way.
Yes.
And the way it shows up usually benefits everybody but you.
Come on, come on, come on.
Because you end up exhausted.
Yeah.
And then you have the words of the people on the outside of what you're doing and what you're not. And so if you're already prone because you've learned to move based on what people say and how they applaud you, well, when there's no applaud because you've got a new understanding, you can only lean and depend on the presence of God that fills you.
Yes. 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 Thank you.
You know,
I'm so happy for you. I'm glad you came to that understanding. I'm so happy for you.
And I hope that some of you listening hear her too. And I see you yesing her up in the chat room. So I know that you are. It is, let me get this one in. Be careful with church work. Now, this is coming from a pastor, y'all. Now, he's telling you, be careful of church work. Certain kinds of church work are not always aligned with purpose.
Wow.
And that is, thank you for that. That's what I like about my people. They talk straight. Yes, they're not gonna give you that regular church mumbo jumbo. Because here's the truth. Let me just be honest. I have worked in mega churches, and I've worked in baby churches, and I've worked in medium churches, and I've worked in all kinds of churches. And here's the truth. Not everybody approaches it the same way. Some people do want you to work your fingers to the bone.
Yeah.
Some people do want to extract from you all the gifts, and then when you're done, they'll just go, thank you, and they'll give you this, and then they'll move the next. Because for them, the mission and vision is bigger than all of us. Right. It's bigger than, and so they just, God will sustain. His grace is sufficient. You'll be okay. Versus the whole person coming to you, mind, body, and spirit, and happiness, wholeness, and health can give you even more and give it to you consistently versus you just wringing them out like a dish rag, right? And then go, oh, next rag, So I pray that we all, because you're right, Reverend Reed. I think like we got to come back and talk about that sometime. The whole Martha Mary thing, because even Jesus didn't require that.
But it's because we make the work about the work and not God, or we make the work about the vision. Now, people do have visions, and that's beautiful, but they need to be compensated, paid, put on an hour, do volunteer work. But church is not it's not a building. We're all the church. So if it's about God, then it should be about the whole being. The vision of the one being that got the meaning of why they're doing what they do. That's why people become egotistical or narcissistic within the body, because it becomes about a little rat race for the vision that we've all got instead of the God that we're all serving and healing from together as one.
Yeah.
Y'all
bitterness and resentment. And then people attach that to God.
Yes.
Who had nothing to do with that. That was people.
Yes.
I'm telling y'all, we're gonna have to come back for church. The whole series. Ashley says, get a new understanding for God's glory and our purpose and not killing ourselves. She's quoting Reverend Riri. Straight talk, not tooth talking. I love that one. Yes, Sister Ima. Vonda said, thank God for my pastors. And Ashley said, this notion of working a life poured out, but empty of the gift upon the working of your own soul salvation. Woo. Yes, about the whole being. I heard, so let me say, I lifted that because that is something as women, we're the natural nurturers. That's a label given us. And we do many times have that beautiful gift. And because of that, we have tried to hit those markers, as Pamela was saying, of being a good enough woman, a good enough wife, a good enough sister, a good enough friend, a good enough whatever, daughter, any of those things, those iterations. And so we are trained sometimes through our own families. We talked last week about emotional DNA. Those things that you get from your family that were passed down in their DNA, whether it's modeled or some stuff in your DNA. And then there's things that you were trained. I was trained that in news. You had to perform very high, low level of errors, and you had to be consistent deadlines. And so to the point where I almost like, I tell the story about one time after I had been downsized from the job, I wanted to take a nap. My soul was tired. And I was guilting myself for wanting to lay down at 2:00 in the afternoon. Like, you need to be getting your resume out. You need to be doing this. You need to be doing that. And my soul was tired. And I literally, and the reason this is such a profound moment for me, because I've held on to it to help minister to myself and others. I still have the image of me looking at my bed, just wanting to get in the bed. There was nothing keeping me from laying down in the bed and getting the rest that I needed for the exhaustion, the mental, the emotional, and the physical exhaustion I was feeling, except that direct thing of somebody else's projected, expectation that you should, if you were really about your business, you'd be doing this. If you were really about responsibility, you'd be doing that. So please be released, ladies. Be released, men. Because I know men carry a heavy burden about performance as well. I see you, Bishop. I see you. I see you, sir. I see you, sir. I'm filled with good tears because we're not taught this. And my soul is being renewed.
Amen.
Yes.
Take your rest. Take your rest. I feel like that needs to be the mantra. Take your rest. Take your rest. Take your rest. Whatever it is you need. Your body is telling you that for a reason. It's not about selfishness. It's about self-preservation. We forget that too. Our body will scream to us when we don't have enough water. Our body will scream to us when we don't have enough sleep. Our body will scream to us when we haven't eaten and it needs nourishment. So why wouldn't your body scream to you when you need sleep and rest? Be released from performance. Ooh, take my rest. Take my rest. I know, you said you wanted to talk a bit in the area of karma. And then I want to mention something else that I saw about trauma, because we're coming up to the top of the hour. And I know I promised my sister Pamela we'd be out of here in an hour.
Well, I want to make it really simple, because karma is something, it's a spiritual law, which is beautiful, because whether you know God or ever want to know God, the laws are in place. However you want to know them or not, you're going to have to live by them, because in the church, we say what you sow, you also reap. In the world, we say what goes around comes around. And on the street, they say karma is a and that's all true. And that's because right now, as I opened up, I was trying to share with everyone the urgency of the hour for me as a shaman to kind of beckon everyone to pay close attention to everything we've talked about, because these soul exhaustion signs are things we need to be looking at in terms of clearing our own karma. What does that mean? That means that we're now looking at the consequences of our actions and our reactions. And because the veil is so thin, the separation between worlds, the spiritual and the natural are becoming one. We feel this apocalyptic Armageddon energy that is because the natural and the spirit are merging. What does that mean? That means that the quicker you have a thought, the quicker you manifest it. The quicker you have an intention, the quicker it happens. And that all these things that Jeanette was mentioning, these emotional DNA codes, these past patterns and ways, our ancestral trauma, is coming through who? You, me, and you, all four of us here, and everyone watching. Why? Because we have bodies. And now is the time to clear it out. And so to everyone who wants to know about being more immune, the best thing you can do for your immunity. Oh, thank you, Holy Spirit. I have 3 notes about this. I feel like I need to read them.
Oh, no.
That came an hour before this broadcast about immunity.
Okay.
If you want to increase your immunity, it's a 3-fold process. What they don't tell you on the news is that immunity is 3-fold. It's mind, body, and spirit.
Yes.
So immunity is 3 things. It's your radiance, it's your resistance, and it's your resiliency. So to increase your radiance, that is your radiance is your radiance of energy, your spiritual flow, what we've been talking about, increasing the spirit of God within you. You want to get as close to God as you possibly can by turning inward and strengthening that spiritual connection as in whatever way Holy Spirit leads you now. That will up your immunity. Don't believe me? Test it out. The second thing you can do for your resistance is strengthen your vitality, being able to fight off a disease by strengthening your emotional boundaries and your energetic boundaries with people, places, and things. Your spirit within you will tell you what's right or wrong because it's connected to God. And so if you told somebody you meet them somewhere and then Holy Spirit says, maybe not right now, maybe we're getting trained in our discernment. If you told somebody you were going to do something and now you don't think you need to do it, overcome the fear of people pleasing and release that ancestral trauma.
Yes.
Right to what the Holy Spirit's telling you. Say, no, not today, maybe not ever. I'm not sure. I'll let you know. And walking in that kind of
Amen.
freedom is what's going to help us all get free. The last one is resiliency, which is the ability to transmute. And so if we could detox our bodies by removing the heavy metals, maybe lowering the sugar, lowering the meats, lowering the dairy, things that keep the mucus coming up, we could actually speed up our metabolistic ability to fight off disease.
I'm trying.
You can, and you're overcoming, sister. We're all holding space and doing it together. That's why it's work, and we winning. But these are the things I know we don't. These are the things that they're not going to put on the news, but they are in the spirit. And I believe God wants us all to focus on picking up on these signs that the soul exhaustion is trying to lead us to. See, that's why what Pamela was saying is true. It's all a blessing. All things work together for the good of those who love the Lord and are called. All these signs are actually synchronicities of your soul reminding you of what you need to be doing right now to be prepared, be ready, and remember who you are as a spiritual being so that you can live this day-to-day life that's going to get even more interesting and feel more connected and more vital and more immune.
Yes.
Ashe?
Ashe. Jennifer says, I love you.
I love you, Jennifer.
We all love Ima.
Thank you for sharing and scribing, Ashley. You've been a beautiful spirit in the chat room, just scribing away today. Appreciate you for that. I want to, spiritual detoxification. Yes, sir. I want to give Pamela 2 minutes. Now, if Reverend Riri and Sister Ima, if you all can stay, because I do want to hit the trauma piece, because I think that for some people that is a core that we talked about, we alluded to, and I want people to do something about it because that'll just be a thing that continues to come up, and there's no sense in getting free only to be bound again. If possible. So Pamela, anything that you want to share on anything that we've shared so far? So I just want to make sure that you really get a piece, Mama.
Yes.
Thank you, everybody. You really needed this. So
Yes, this has been beautiful. And when I saw soul exhaustion, it really did resonate within me. Like, this is something that needs to be talked about. And I really do think it's about us leaning on not ourselves, leaning on what we know to be our source and our supply of everything in all things. And when we feel that exhaustion, when we begin to get into that place where we're like, oh, I'm not sleeping well, or I skipped meals, I didn't realize it, or whatever that might be, it is a sign that we are being given. It's a love offering to say, hey, it's time to bring it in for a tune-up. It's time to really focus and do the work, because you are the work. And that's what has really been spoken to me over the last couple months, is like, you are the work. You are the work. And as you focus on yourself and your connection with me, with the divine, with the presence that is and always will be, you will be sustained. And we just have to rely on that, because it's not going to get easier. And I tremble to say that sometimes, because people are like, oh, I can't wait till 2020 is over. I'm like, you think 2021 is going to be any better?
we don't.
So it's really about taking this time. Take the time that you have right now to strengthen yourself and sustain yourself on the presence. It's not about you. You can't do it in your own work. And we really do have to depend on doing that inner work, going within, meditating, praying. Our practices of oneness are going to be essential for the time to come. We are going to have to learn how to connect with each other on a soul-to-soul level, no matter how someone's behaving. Yes. And if we don't, we are going to be sucked into a whirlpool, and it's going to be difficult to remove ourselves from that place. So that is my prayer for all of us, is that we really just focus on the connection and the connection to the divine, because it is going to be essential as we move forward.
Thank you so much, Pamela. What's your website so I can put that up for those who want to stay connected?
Yes, it's PamelaGrayDaniel.com.
I got you. GrayDaniel.com. And your book one more time.
It's Healing Our History and Co-Creating a Culture of Oneness. And it's really interesting. I'm sorry, I'm just going to say this one last thing because last September, I started writing this book. I didn't know that it was a book. I just started writing things that God was speaking to me. And in May, something told me God told me that it needed to be released early because I was going to release it in June. And I released it in May. And I think the message is just so important for this time right now. We need to heal what we have gone through in the past. As Ima was saying, our karma, we need to heal that trauma, all of that. And we need to begin to co-create with one another in this understanding of who we really are and operate in the laws of the universe so that we can actually be who we came here to be.
Yes, yes, to all of that. I want you to get some of this love from the chat room before you pop off. Nicole says, I really needed this. Bishop is praising and hands up. Ashley said, you ladies are knocking us out with all this wisdom, truth, and power. Leo, this is what I'm fantastic Monday. Ashley's no getting point, good free, only to be bound again. Yes, yes. Thank you, ladies, for your God-given wisdom. Reverend Angie says, I agree with that. Pastor Patrick says, in physical exercise, they say strengthen your core. Pamela is telling us in the spiritual and the emotional, we must strengthen our core. Yes.
Yes, yes.
Love.
Thank you, Jennifer. Thank you, Ashley.
Yes, everybody's quoting you and sending you love. So thank you so much, my sister. We're going to get our personal time on the book soon and very soon. Thank you so much for hearing the need and being able to work it out so that you can be here with us, Pamela. Appreciate you. Thank you, sister.
Thank you.
Take care, Mama. Oh, I didn't mean to cut her. She's gone. Parenting in a pandemic, y'all. You should get a badge on that one. You absolutely should. Ladies, I do want to, yeah.
I was just gonna say I would love to follow up with her on learning to connect to each other soul to soul at a soul to soul level, no matter how people are behaving. Like that's a whole nother, let's talk about that.
Yeah.
Not right now, but I'm just saying that really resonated.
Yes. And for those of you who missed it, she did go into some of that. And we should come back like once a month and just do this panel. But the oneness, I have to figure out what that date was so that I can put it up in a post maybe for you all, because it really did help me. That whole, just that expanding my mind. Like I thought I was of a oneness mindset, but till I got to talking to her, I was like, oh no, I got some work I got to do like in this area. So she's the truth in that thing. So let me just say, I want to talk about trauma now. I don't want anyone to be triggered into their trauma. So what I really want you to do right now is I want you to see this as a conversation we're having about something that's sitting on the other side of the room, and that you are way over here on this side kind of observing it from afar. This is not, if this is something that you don't even want to hear the word drama, then I invite you to release yourself. But I really think it's important for us to have this part of the conversation. It was something that I came across and I read, and I want to direct this first to you, and then Reverend Ruby, absolutely, please join in the conversation. But it said that in shamanistic cultures, it's believed that when a person is traumatized, that their soul leaves their body in a way to protect themselves from tolerating pain. And in a process called soul retrieval, that trusted community members can surround the person with love and safety in a sacred space so that they invite the soul back. Can you speak a little bit about that? Because I know just from a heart gut discernment level that much of what kind of shows up on Mindset Monday, even when we're talking about different things, we can be talking about something like a mindset hack, but I'll feel trauma. You know what I mean? And so when we get into these spaces and places, kind of explain that to us. And I also, you know what, just for those, explain your role as a shaman. Just explain what that is and how you operate in that.
Well, I'm very glad that you asked that question. And one thing I do want to say is that in shamanism, we call trauma lessons, because shamanism is not a religion. It is a practice of spirituality where we believe that the way to home, which is back out of our physical body, is through the chamber of the heart of authenticity. The first rule of shamanism is Great Spirit God is all that is, all that was, and all that will ever be. And those of us who are in church, we believe in something called sovereignty. And so one thing that I think people need to remember is sovereignty means that there are no mistakes, only lessons, that there are no things as accidents. There are only experiences that our soul knew it would experience before we came into this physical body. The Great Spirit God gave us an opportunity to experience as a human being. Therefore, nothing can be done to us. Everything is happening through us. And when we get to the level of what we call Christ consciousness, we understand that. See, we start at level 1, which is victim consciousness. That is, I believe everything is happening to me. I have no power here. When we begin to connect back to the Spirit of God, we go to what's called manifestor consciousness. That's when we understand. In church, we call it name it and claim it. Speak your faith. That's when we realize, oh no, things aren't just happening to me. I am co-creating experiences, and that my thoughts and my emotions and my words actually co-create life. My words are spirit and do give life. So I'm not actually a victim. I'm a manifester. Then we get closer to God and we move from manifestor consciousness to channel consciousness, where we realize life is not just happening by me, it's happening through me. I am actually a channel for Great Spirit God to work through. So there are no problems, only solutions that come into my life that I channel the Spirit of God to learn from and teach from. Then before I leave this physical experience, and I can speak for my soul as a shaman, I'm on my way up, we go to Christ consciousness, which is life is happening as me. I am part of the great plan of Great Spirit God in my life. Everyone who comes in it is not an accident. Therefore, I can no longer be angry, resentful, mad, or resenting and resisting the reality of my story, because I came here to live it, learn it, and teach it. And that is the path of a shaman. And all we do is help others stay on that path, get on that path, and find that path back home.
Path leader, I hear you. And I know that for some people, and we're not even going to go there today, because even in traditional understandings, if you've heard, all things work together for the good, like, people will say, well, how did that work together for the good? Like, what is that? And so these are spaces and places where really soul work, spirit work is really important, and being able to because there's a piece of this, I believe, that is revealed to you uniquely, because that is your unique experience that you're walking. And though other people can have insight, I've seen people get a divine prophetic word and it not resonate because you're not ready to hear it. You're not ready to receive it. And so that is just a reminder to me that God does the confirming. And so that's where we have to sit. We have to sit in that place where we can really hear God about what we've been through. And the reason I wanted to bring that up is because when I read that, something about that was so powerful to me, because I know there's things I've experienced as a child. I lived in Tehran, Iran, when they were starting to attack the U.S. citizens. We were driving home on the bus one time and a bomb had gone off. And I think that there were things in trees and stuff, but they kept saying, don't let the little kids look out the window. And I looked out the window and I can tell you what I saw, but I can't feel what I saw. Like, I can't picture what I saw. So I know, like, that resonated with me, that thing about being there, but not there.
Yes, we call that, in shamanism, we call that astral traveling. And honestly, in the church, it's one of the reasons why they have altar workers. It is because at certain spiritual levels, you open up as a being, and that veil between the worlds is gone, and you do have interactions outside of your own body. How do you think we dream? You're not going to all those places. You're having a spiritual experience, which means your physical body is here, but now your consciousness or your awareness is more in your spirit than your body. Like right now, our consciousness is more in our body. I have a hard time as a shaman staying grounded. That means being only in my body. Because my consciousness and awareness is often in my energy field around me, or in my spirit that is hovering above this planet. So it's a lot going on. And we need to remember that these experiences that Jeanette's talking about, that's happening to a lot of people even right now. Yeah. Because our souls are coming. The rapturing experience, I could go into it deeply, but I won't. But what do you think that means? We're coming back to our true selves So the trauma that happened or the lessons that we learned, we're going to have to forgive those people, those experiences, those things, that time that's gone, it's not coming back, and ourselves for having and holding the energy of that, to really let go, so that those pieces of our spiritual essence that we gave away through the resentment or the fear or whatever, and our spirit saved our body from the trauma of that, we can become more whole, and that consciousness that we have that's above this realm can be more active on an everyday level. The more we forgive, the more we cleanse our heart of that energy, we are more connected as a soul, and we're whole. That's called wholeness.
Yes, yes, yes. Reverend Dr. Patrick Claiborne says the movie Collateral Beauty with Will Smith is a prime example of what you all are talking about. Great discussion, ladies. Thank you for sharing that resource. And that's where I want to encourage us always. If there is trauma, you know that you've experienced trauma, a life lesson, something that has been holding you, anchoring you, and not because you've moved through it, you haven't, you know that forgiveness is still a piece you're working on. You know you're struggling with even learning the lesson or seeing a lesson in that. That just is, that there's nothing to feel bad about. That just is an indicator that there's still work to do. And whether it is through a spiritual worker, whether it is through your pastoral covering, whether it is through a therapist, whether it is through whatever means speaks to you in helping you get that help, this is really a time. Because what I'm very sensitive to now is that what we've gone through this year was enough in and all by itself. But when you layer that on top of other people's experiences and their traumas of the past, and even what they have taken on emotionally from those around them, right? Because we didn't just kind of walk through this by ourselves in little bubbles. We were experiencing this husbands to wives, kids to parents, children to adult parents. So we were experiencing this in many different ways. And everybody keeps saying, I can't wait till 2021, but I agree with Pamela. We don't know what 2021 may or may not hold. And so we act like if I can just get to, December 31st, if I could just some sort of door opens up and then it's like we walk in into another world or something. But my prayer is that what we can do, what we have control over, because we don't have control over what that might look like, but we have control over how we experience it and how we move in toward it. And my hope is that we will make a decision to leave broken things where they are, or mend them and walk forward with them, looking differently, feeling differently, lighter, brighter, open. We can't live in this world shut. And I feel like a lot of what we're feeling is because people have had to shut down and close off because of all of what's going on. But really, the way we thrive is by living freely and openly. So how do we get ourselves back to that place? Ima talked about having protection of our energy field and of what gets to the core and heart of us. We say out of the heart flows the issues of life. Protecting your heart, watching what you're putting your eye gate, your ear gate, all of those things. How do we get there? And what are your tips, ladies, as we round out this discussion on how to work toward that wholeness, so that soul exhaustion, though it may be something we experience again, will be better equipped to recognize it when it shows up and better equipped to deal with it and replenish ourselves?
I think part of it is, because I'm clear, I don't have all the answers. Part of it is taking things one step at a time, not expecting ourselves to get it all. Like, great, I think this was a great show. This is a great show happening right now. But just because I listen here, that doesn't mean I'm going to walk away and woo, everything is different. But maybe I can take away one or two things that I know, can I identify how I'm actually feeling and be okay Not try and gloss over how I'm feeling, but be okay with that's where I am now.
Right.
Now that I've been able to identify that, what's a step I can take? Is there a sister or a friend I can talk to? Maybe I'm not ready for counseling, or maybe I've been talking to friends and I realize now I do need someone outside of my circle to talk to, even if it's just to bounce off, this is how I'm feeling. Is this kind of, what does what they're talking about feel like?
Yeah.
What does that look like? And so just giving ourselves grace and space to feel and be okay with sometimes everything not being okay. I know at the beginning of this pandemic, we were talking about, people were saying to be socially distanced, but that's part of what creates some of the problems. Sometimes we want to be physically distanced, but we need to still be communicating with people. We close ourselves off sometimes, and trauma by itself, especially unchecked trauma, will have you shut yourself off even from those who really can help you. And so I think that's just a first step. And I think building on every step that you take is what's helpful.
Beautiful. Love it. Love it. Love it. Thank you for your shares, Reverend Riri. Ima?
I think for anyone who just never come in contact with their own feelings, I have a 4-point system that I have gotten from the Holy Spirit that I've shared with anyone, anywhere, and I think it's really applicable here. It's called stop, cry, pray, walk. And if you've never processed your emotions, which for Black women, we have a problem that is getting a beautiful solution that most Black women don't know how they feel. We have been taught not to feel. And that's why it's not an angry Black woman. It's an unaware Black woman of her own pain in those instances. A lot of times we act out of our own pain. And so many women, Black, white, every single race, know that we've often been told the only way to get through the day is to not think about how you're feeling. That's how you're going to get through it, which is right. You can't wallow in your feelings because you'll never walk. But if you don't stop for a minute to know how you feel, then you'll have unchecked feeling on top of unchecked feeling. And before you know it, there's a beautiful, radiant woman with a huge chip on her shoulder and no one knows who put it there. And so the problem is we have to say, stop. When I start to feel a certain way, I need to plan a part of my day, whether it's after the children are asleep or early in the morning before they wake up, or, after my partner and I have had our evening check-in. I want to plan maybe 10 minutes with myself because I've had a feeling all day that I don't like. There's something going on. I want to cry. And I don't want to take that time if it's just 10 minutes and stop. And if you feel like you want to cry, cry. Because when we cry, we clear emotional toxins from our physical DNA that can cause inflammation in our body and disease. And we also clear our pineal gland, which is our spiritual discernment. So that's why after you have a good cry, you feel more clear. You ever have a good cry and you're like, oh, here's the answer. Well, yes, that was an emotional block. So stop, cry, pray. After you clear it out, then commune, take that time with God and get whatever answer you need. Tell whatever frustration you have. Ask for whatever help on high you need, because now you understand what your need is that you can meet. And after you have that need met, walk is express it, evaluate it. Like Sherry said, share what you are experiencing on a soul level with someone. Whether that's your spouse, your lover, your therapist, your pastor. You do need an outlet to express your releases so that you can remain clear and stay free. The reason a lot of times we get back in unforgiveness or feeling a kind of way is because we do go through a process, but then we don't apply anything we learned about how we feel or what we need to do. We don't tell nobody. Then we get caught up again, and now we feel that way again. And so really allowing ourselves to feel what we feel, answer our questions that our feelings are showing us we have, or release the anger that's inside so we can do something about whatever we're mad about. And I'm going to share with you, the only reason that a lot of this doesn't work is because sometimes we don't want to follow the answer we're getting. We don't want to leave the job. We don't want to leave the relationship. We don't want to end the friendship. We don't want to let go of these energies, entities that we've had dependencies on. We don't want to do what the pain is telling us we need to pay attention to.
Yes, yes.
So go with that intention, and God meets us every time. But that's how you can process your emotions.
I love it. Regina says, Ima, you're speaking truth. This is so true. I've done this work. It's so important. I'm unpacking the boxes that I put in the closet.
Yes, we cleared it out.
And Reverend Riri, she says, I've always used that language, physically distant, but not socially distant. Yeah. I mean, that, one of the things I had to learn how to say and ask for was space and grace, because people would give me space, but not necessarily grace. And that's not what I was asking for. I was asking for some distance and to be held in love from that distance. Right. And so I think as we are all going through what we're going through, there's a self level of awareness that takes place first. I got to understand that my soul's exhausted. I gotta even if others see it, until I recognize it and acknowledge it, there's not much I can do about it. You got to be willing to face it, right? And to name what that is and identify it. And so when that's you may need to ask for space and grace. You may say, you know what, I'm gonna kind of squirrel away a little bit and just kind of do some me things. Love everybody, not trying to be funny acting, because we'll say that you being funny acting. I'm trying to be funny acting. I'm just gonna squirrel away a little bit, but I hope you'll give me the grace. It's really important, because space without the grace is
a
ostrich.
hurtful place.
It is.
Yes.
Better rhyme.
Yes.
And so that is what I hope. Now for me, and I love what you shared about stop, cry, pray, and walk. That was very powerful.
Praise the Lord.
All on it.
Praise the Lord.
Yes. So let me just say, for me, these things have worked. Sharia is right. We don't have all the answers. We can tell you what works for us. We can tell you what God has given us to give to others. But for me, one of the things, and each of us have talked about this in a different way, is consider a cleanse, physical, mental, and spiritual. I can tell a difference in me having gone plant-based. Now, I still do my meat once on Sunday. And when I feel released to release that, we'll see. But I can already tell a difference. I can already tell a difference. Beyond weight, I can tell a difference in me. And so with the physical, the mental helps. We talk about being cloudy and how we think, being cloudy in our area of our emotions. Things that normally would bother me don't bother me like they used to. It's just not that weighty. And then how you address your spirit, right? How you attend to that part of you that don't want to be on this plane anyway. Don't want to be on this plane anyway. We'd rather be out here communing with God. So, you gotta do the spiritual things. And I loved how, my pastor brother said it's like core work. You do for physical, you do core work, you do weights, you do this, we got to do core work for mind, body, and spirit. So meditation is a big part of that for me. There's many different types of meditation practices that you can employ. Meditation is even in the Bible for those of our Christian friends who sometimes go, I don't know, is that woo-woo-wee? No, meditation is actually in the Bible. It's what you're thinking on, what you give focus to. Where focus goes, your energy flows. And so being able, you can sit and you can meditate out of an angry fit. You can sit and you can meditate into something that you want to be into. You can sit, and that was really, meditation was a big part of my journey for the whole plant-based thing. Because listen, me and Cheese had a relationship that none of y'all will ever understand. Will never ever understand. And we broke up. I had to meditate. That's what I'm saying. I had to meditate. This is a really important part for me, being creative. There's something about expression and fun and bringing that childlike side and inquisitiveness and curiosity out into giving birth to something that really puts me in a touch with a side of me that I don't maybe always gets engaged. And I do creative work, but it's in a certain area, in a certain realm. So being creative, I told the ladies before, you all know the part, those of you who are the tribe, because sometimes I get y'all on and we dance in the open, we dance, we play, we give ourselves permission to create expressions of ourselves that we are told sometimes by society, no, you need to bring that down. No, you need to bring that in. No, you don't need to do so much. create whatever that is, art, music, laughter, experiences. Get creative. And then that rolls into 4 for me, which is do something that feels good and give yourself permission to do so. Like, I don't know where we got this. Making you feel good is supposed to make me feel good. Let me just say, many times making you feel good does make me feel good. But sometimes making you feel good is a sacrifice for me. And though at a core character level, I feel good that I was able, it don't always make me feel good.
Come on with it.
I might be sweating. I might be, so can we just get real about that?
Yes, please.
We put all of our, I feel good because, and I know husbands do that for wives, wives do that for husbands, kids or kids. I made you feel good. I took care of your needs, so I should feel good. And you're like, yeah, no, it's not really kicking in yet. Maybe it's
I know you just be sitting there waiting on that good feeling that never comes. Like, well, where am I supposed to feel?
So do something that feels good for you. And here's the deal. Nobody gets to tell you what that should be. Nobody gets to tell you what that is. Like, what are you doing that for? Because it feels good for me. Like, that's why. That's the why. Okay.
We're laughing at this, but people have never done that. They don't even understand. It's a real thing.
It is a real thing. And I hope somebody's getting free today. Practice loving self-talk and positive affirmation. The running dialogue in your mind is like the brook that rolls over a stone constantly and consistently. It will wear it down to something. You want it worn down to something positive. You want what it creates to be beautiful, smooth, and edifying. You don't want that constant narrative in your mind to wear you down to, and you can tell when people have a lot of negative self-talk, because usually out of the abundance, right, their words show us, because then you don't have anything beautiful or loving to say to others or to share with others, because there's no reservoir. The pool is empty. So practice spending that time. That's what another thing that meditation is great for. Letting God love on you and you loving on you and you pouring into you. So if nobody tells you today you're beautiful, you still know I'm beautiful. If nobody tells you today you are powerful, you know you're powerful, because you are already having the conversations and letting your higher self just continue to remind you of the truths that are you. Assess and purge people if necessary. I don't know how to say this any clearer.
Yes.
While we're all cleaning out our COVID closets, your friendship closet, or your those around you closet. Because here's what I've learned. People in our lives are a lot like clothes. I've looked at clothes. I haven't gotten to it yet, but I've looked at clothes. I haven't worn this in easily 4 years. I have not worn it. Like, I moved here 4 years ago. I have not worn this since I've been here. Easily. Why are you still here? Why are we still together? Why are we doing this? When you look at your life and the people that are in your life, I'm now so bent on purposeful encounters. Now, that doesn't mean everybody's going to be light and front, because I realized that this year I've had some purposeful encounters and purposeful people that it ain't all bright, sunshiny Skittles, right? But they are here for the lesson that makes me better. And I receive it. Thank you for number 5. That's hilarious. Yes, I'm glad that y'all get it. Don't be laughing at me about my cheese, Jennifer. I see you. Detoxify your life, mind, body, spirit. Yes. And then my last one is simply this. And let me say this. There's a whole nother show about how you release people with love, because that grace and space thing applies to releasing people from your life too. You don't have to go, we're breaking up or this is over. Sometimes if you just pray and meditate in that way, that God, under grace in a perfect way, allow those that are supposed to be in and around, and those who aren't, they will naturally find the organic flow out. Purpose will help them find the other place they're supposed to be. And you don't have to feel, not to say you won't feel hurt, because that's a place a person played in your life, but you will understand it to be of purpose, and you will understand it to be of God, and you can bless them and know that where they're going is going to be better for them, and what's about to open up is going to be better for you. And practice self-love is really wrapped into the talk, positive self-talk affirmations, but it really is about a practice of self-love. And every day, in every kind of way that you can, you're not only attuned to the needs and desires of others, but there's a practice. A practice means work. There's a work of showing my self-love, that there's a work of being, and it's not just about hugging myself. Like these are things I do. I live alone. She doesn't have opposable thumbs. She can't hug me. We're socially distanced. I will hug myself. I will allow myself to feel that comfort. I will allow myself, I rock. Other things that I do, I rock. But, sometimes it may be, I'm going to watch a funny movie. That's how I'm going to love myself. I want to laugh. I want to give myself the gift of laughter. I'm going to give myself the gift of laughter. So I'm going to laugh and watch this. Love, 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 love. Regina says, organic flow out. All right now. Let it bless you. Let it bless you. I hope. Yes.
No, I was just going to say, on your practice of self-love.
Yes.
I like to look at the word practice also as I might not get it right the first time.
That's good.
So I'm going to keep on and keep on and keep on until I love myself the way God loves me. So thank you for that. Just seeing that word differently.
I love that, because it also says, keep trying, keep learning about ourselves. Somebody said, it's personal development. I know myself. I was like, really? That's amazing. Every day I find out something new about me. Like that. Yeah. Cheers. That is like the highest level consciousness ever. Like, I don't even really, because they were like, what? Yeah. I already know myself. I
already did the work.
Right.
Already did it.
I was like, cheers, but that's not really true, right? Okay. But I love what you said about practice, because it allows me the space to maybe not get it right, and maybe continue to learn more and be in a growth mindset, because those of us who understand, you're always going to be learning about you. You're always going to be growing, because who you were last year isn't who you are. Listen, you're not going to be who you are next year, who you were in COVID.
I pray not. I pray not. And that allows us, when we give that grace to ourselves, it helps us extend it to our sisters and our brothers.
Yes. Reverend Riri has that mother rock going. That mother rock. Come on here, Minister Cherie. Practice. Yes, we're all going to be practicing. Yeah, you're waiting. I know. And that's what I hope that you will leave with today. Expectation. Some empowerment to know how to address those places of you that are tired. Maybe it is your body that's tired. Maybe it is your soul. Maybe it is, your heart. Maybe it's your heart. Your heart's tired. Hearts can get fatigued too. So, as we look at all these things, maybe it's the awareness that we're really hoping you all get out of this, that it's okay to sense something needs attention. Give it that attention. Even if it's something very little talked about, like soul exhaustion, heart, exhaustion. If you have trauma, that you'll seek out someone to help you lift that weight. I have been giving all year. I have been giving out referrals to trusted therapists, coaches of all types. And if you need that, go to my website, JeanetteSmith.com. I'd love to hear what your need is, and then try to connect you to the people who can help you move out of this into a better space. You don't have to drag this around, not one more day. You can start the work now. So future you will be ecstatic. Thank you that in October you started this, because I'm so much lighter and brighter and walking in my purpose. Like, future you will love you. This is what you don't want. You don't want to make future you mad at you. That's a bad. I've done that. Made future me really, really pissed off at me, and I didn't like. I said, I don't want to deal with you. I want to do the work now. So future you is in a better place. Thank you, ladies, so much for everything that you shared today. Thank you, ladies. What a blessing. You are so appreciated. Ashley says, so grateful for this live. You ladies have blessed me and helped me and checked me all in love.
Yeah.
I love it. Thank you so much, Ashley. You've been a blessing too. Regina, thank you for your input as well. She said, that's why I'm still unpacking boxes. Yes, ma'am. Yes, 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 yes. We'll be back on Wednesday. No, we won't. We won't be back on Wednesday. I've got an ordeal that I have to take care of, but just release me to be flowing in purpose. And I'll see you back on Friday. I'll see you back on Friday, ladies. This has been a blessing. Thank you. Thank you all. Reverend Riri, thank you for always bringing the light. Love you so much. Thank you for
Love you too. Thank you.
being an important part of my journey personally and helping learning more about myself and growing as a coach and everything else.
Love, love, love you. Thank you. Thank you very much. And thank you for introducing me to my new sisters, to my sisters that I just hadn't met them yet.
Another warrioress. Thank you, God.
Thank
we
you.
need to connect and stay connected. This was a divine appointment. And this was a moment that I'm so graced that God allowed us to share. So thank you, sister. And thank you so much, Jeanette, for creating the opportunity for all of us to be activated and expanded and healed. The Spirit of God is here, and I'm so grateful. Thank you.
As soon as I saw it, 3 names popped in my mind. It was like God was like, I was just waiting for you to get to it. Just waiting for you. Are you ready now? Okay. It was just like, I just knew what needed to happen. It's amazing. And thank you to the men. Thank you for your prayerful presence. And I hope that you all got something out of it too. And yes, hi mom, to mom who's watching in Alabama. So thank you, ladies. Thank you so much. God bless you and keep you until we get to journey again. And listen, I look forward to us doing some more things. So, all right, stay tuned. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Well, it has been a beautiful time. Thank you for allowing us to go over. I think it was well worth it. I hope that you all felt so too. As I said again, I won't be here on Wednesday because I've got to take care of some important things on this end. But you all are so love-filled to release me to take care of the necessary things. And we'll be back on Friday for our live coaching. And so we'll continue this conversation about soul exhaustion in our live coaching segment on that. All right. And for the rest of you who are maybe watching by replay, I would love to know where you're watching from if you're new. So just put replay viewer or first time viewer, just let me know where you're watching from. I really, 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 really love welcoming new folks into the tribe. If you're not a part of the Empowerment Tribe, just join us. What are you waiting on? We have a Facebook group where we support one another with things. Sometimes we continue conversations after the show. Sometimes people just share from their different experiences. It really is a place where you come and you are edified. Facebook.com/groups/empowerment tribe. And if you want to be a part of the text tribe where you get updates on what's going on, pop-ups that I do on Zoom, different things, encouraging things that I send out over the weekends, just text the word release to 22999. Release to 22999. Thanks again. I pray that you've been blessed. I pray that you have a great rest of your day. Let's keep doing the work, y'all. Let's keep doing the work. Let's keep doing the work. And I'll see you real soon. Love you.
I'll be your light. Be your light.